Bear with me, guys. There we go. Okay.
Let's see if we went live. Okay, we went live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we went live. Okay, we went live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we went live.
The good news is we're not live
here. Okay, bear with me, guys.
I have a lot
there
of
we go.
echo.
Let's see if we went live.
The good news is we're not
live
live
here.
Oh,
okay, bear with me,
I have
guys.
a lot
There
of
we go.
echo.
Let's see if we went live.
The good news is we're not
live
live
here.
Oh,
Okay, bear with me,
I have
guys.
a lot
There
of
we go.
echo.
Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here.
oh,
Okay,
hold on.
bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here.
Oh,
Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here.
oh,
Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we went live. The good news is we're not live here. Okay, bear with me, guys. There we go. Let's see if we w
Okay. Can anybody hear me on the stream? Okay, you can hear me. Can the chat hear me? That's my question. Of course they don't. Okay. Of course they don't. Okay. Of course. Can you hear him now? Okay. Of course. Can you hear him now? Okay. Of course. Can you hear him now? Okay. This is killing me. I hate this. I'm gonna go back to StreamYard so fast because this is not working. I appreciate it. I have no idea what you're talking about, Mike. I'm so angry right now. This worked last night. We literally tested this last night. We spent an hour on this last night. And it worked! Now I'm just furious. Okay. So I'm going to mute video and then I'm going to undo the desktop and make sure that everything is muted as far as the live streams go, everywhere else, and we're going to pray to God nothing else comes through. And I apologize to you guys if you get a massive echo. Mike, go.
There's no echo yet. There's no echo.
Can anybody hear Mike? Because I can't check it because everything is muted on my end.
And you, Papa, can you hear me?
It's spiking when you talk.
Me. It is. Mike will nod as I got it right. I'm going to pretend I can read lips. He is saying he wants a pizza.
Okay, so now it's all coming through my desktop audio, and I have no idea why.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now that I've half killed my audience and made, most of Rumble and YouTube want to leave my channel screaming in agony, welcome to the new setup for RetroRoots, which, as you can see, is giving me all sorts of headaches and making me want to, strangle somebody. Because working with
I'm here.
Studio and trying... Yeah, Mike is convenient, so we may use him as a willing sacrifice.
All right.
Mario's going to pretend he can read lips.
And he says
that he wants pizza.
Right.
And
pizza
Paradox
with
here is saying
anchovies.
she can hear Mike. So it appears I can bring everybody up on screen, and it appears both sides can like interact. So this was the point, and the reason that I have given myself more gray hair is because I want all my communities to be able to talk to each other.
Okay.
On the show.
At the risk of further raging you, do me one more favor so I can see you.
Never. What am I doing?
Click start virtual camera. Remember we did this last night? And then change your camera in Video Ninja to your OBS virtual camera.
Where we did that because hold on 1 second. There's disable camera. I don't remember where we did that. Where did we do that?
Probably in your control panel, your director.
Video source.
For whatever your camera looks like. Because right now all I see is Elgato no signal.
I don't see anything. I don't see it.
How do you change your camera in? Like I can go to
change my camera, and we'll grab my camera in there because it's in OBS right now. That's where you're seeing the Elgato thing, probably.
Right. So in OBS, you click Start Virtual Camera, right down where the your start stream, start recording is.
All right. Okay.
And then in Video Ninja, your actual camera, which is probably a video source called Elgato something or other. You should have a video source called OBS Virtual Camera. So like this. There you go.
Okay.
Boom. All right. So now what I will do, I will take that.
Sorry, we're still working through a lot of this. I was using StreamYards up until today, and then I've been trying to get this scene set up and all this set up so that we can do this, and then we can migrate to this, and we can do all this fun stuff with you guys and get all our chats to talk. I've been working on this for like 2 weeks. And then I finally got a chance to test it last night. And I thought that was going to work fine. No, we get to troubleshoot all night. Welcome to RetroRoots. Yeah, baby!
Well, no, officially, it's now an NLG show. Because it always is.
I know. And I tried very hard to be the NLG show and have stuff work.
I went through the same thing. This is why I'm laughing, because I went through the same thing. And once I figured it all out.
Jim!
Yes, we're all good. Jim!
Okay. All right.
So
I think we're here.
And look at this. You have
an audience. I'm shocked.
You do. Look. Asian Eric and Blues Nut will tell you what we went through just a couple hours ago on Pudge on Mod Mondays. You're good.
Yeah, just I normally don't have these kinds of things. So, all right. So
Ducks in the house.
We're gonna do things. We're gonna talk about things. We have a topic tonight on remakes and remasters, and I need to look up the definition of each because they all kind of blur together into one big collage and mess of stuff these days, because everybody's calling everything a remaster when it may be a remake, and they're calling a remake when it's a remaster, and I don't know what the definitions are anymore. I don't know what the rules are anymore. I'm throwing down my old card. I am old. Mike's still older. It's okay though.
I am still older, but at least I know what the difference is.
Yes. I don't think anybody making the games knows the difference anymore, though. I really don't. So we have that as a topic tonight. But right now, we're going to kind of talk about what we've been doing and what's been going on. Mike, what did you do this weekend?
I had actually a non-gaming weekend, and I enjoyed it. Saturday morning, Friday night, I went and picked up Jacob, my oldest. He is home from college for the week. Kind of drinks the whole thing.
I did.
You know what's funny is
I feel like Rumble needs to be exposed to Oak City gamers.
Yeah,
I feel
you know what's funny, and I know it's Forza habit. You're showing them at the bottom, but they can see it over on the right too.
Do what? Am I sharing my screen still? Oh, well, yeah.
No. I'm saying
this is so I can just highlight people.
Yeah, it's just funny. You're highlighting people, plus that you could see them on the side of the screen.
Well, yeah. We talked about that. I want people to be able to see the full chat so they can see the context of it, but we can highlight specific things to be able to pull them up and talk about them. That was the plan, sir. We had a plan. We talked about this.
All good plans are there until you fire the first shot.
We had a
and then audio doesn't work.
You want to go on? You want to go on? You want to go on? Huh? I can do that. I can make you go away too.
You certainly can. Nick's a little upset right now.
And you just popped out and popped in on the stream. I didn't even do anything. I didn't even do anything there.
Is MK? Oh, look. Oh, it's a JDA. JDA's rating us. Is MK is here? FP is here. My family is arriving. See, they don't know JDA. A lot of these are my friends too.
Is here. Thank you guys for
Is MK
in.
Good dude. FP excellent dude. So is Mike deviating from the plan? Nick, says Brian.
We would have had to have a plan.
Does
tonight,
Mike
Brian.
not own a green screen? Excuse me, sir. I own a green screen. I own a green screen. How do you think I take all those awesome thumbnails, sir?
Yeah. That. By the way,
we'll
go into your story. But yeah. This was interesting.
All right. So let me get through my weekend, and then I want to hear this story.
I'm gonna leave this up for a little bit so we can go into this because this was a fun story.
Okay. So Friday night, I picked up my son. My son bussed in from West Virginia University, which is great because instead of spending 3.5 hours there and 3.5 hours back, they have a great. The university has a wonderful deal with a bus company that bussed him to 45 minutes away from me. So I brought on Friday. I went and picked up my son. Saturday morning, Seth and I worked with a scout troop I did archery instruction for a scout troop Saturday morning. We went out to dinner for Seth's 14th birthday Saturday night. And Sunday, what the hell did I do Sunday? Sunday, there was, what did I do Sunday? I did something yesterday. Oh, yes. A number of things.
You worked with me on this, and you're
I worked with you on this.
You had a bunch of stuff going on.
Yesterday was our congregational meeting, and since I'm the co-chair of our religious,
to try to get your help on the weekend. Every time I
very much do.
You're having a having a meeting.
Yes, I have meetings at the temple all the frickin' time. So this is how they get you. They go, "Hey, would you like to?" And you go, "Sure," and then you're stuck.
Yeah.
So.
That's how all things start. You've worked in corporate long enough to know you never volunteer for anything.
I know. That's how I became their music director, their co-chair of the religious practices committee. And one day I'm going to be president of that synagogue, and I keep telling them no.
How dare you stream on a topic I'm interested in when I can't give you my full attention? Curse me, Eugene!
Yes. Wait a minute. Nobody said you couldn't stop what you were doing right now and pay full attention.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to drag Eugene on here because Eugene is a super interesting guy.
I would love to actually talk to.
Eugene's a
I would
great
actually
guy.
love to. I would actually like to.
If you guys are ever, if anybody from Rumble, I know you guys don't like YouTube, but anybody you see in my chat here on YouTube are all excellent people, and you should.
They really are. I talked about this. I talked about this on Pudge's Mod Mondays. I said even though I wish YouTube nothing but the worst, and I wish them to die in a fire, there are some great people on YouTube that I still kind of go and I see. Zombie is one of them. Omega Ace is one of them.
Stream in a while. I think he's trying to get back into it, and he was debating on doing it on Rumble because he
come to Rumble, Zombie. Yeah. Come to Rumble, my friend. We will help you. I am here for you.
Yes.
But Omega, Go Game Go, who is kind of moving to Rumble too.
Omega's a great dude. I love him.
He really is. He really is. So what in the world emoji is that?
That's a hug.
That's a hug.
That is a hug.
Are those people?
Those are people hugging.
Okay. All right, I'll buy that.
I'm not playing devil's advocate, though I am a devil who
I'm a
likes to
devil
play
who-
advocate. This is fair, sir.
Is Nick's mic less good than usual? I don't think so.
I'm going to turn the volume up on mine a little bit. It's probably a volume issue. Is that a little bit better?
All right.
You guys can let me know. The other day, it was like really spiking heavily when I was playing a game for like no reason. And so I turned the volume like way down on the mic to try to keep from like busting people's eardrums out, because literally OBS had it spiking red anytime I talked above a whisper. It was ridiculous. So I have no idea what was going on.
So by the way, Chuck,
Gonna bump it a tad more.
And then
that way you guys
and
can
then I
hear
want to
me.
hear your story after this.
Okay. So Eugene, let me know if that fixed that, because that's a volume setting I can do on my end. Sir X-Man, blah blah blah. Looks like a dude kind of pose with guns. Oh God, he's bringing a curtain. He's bringing a shower curtain over, guys. What's up, Andy? How you doing? We're having a good old banana dance one. Hey, I like my bumblebee dance.
There you go, Chuck. I have a green screen.
It's a
Just
shower
for
curtain.
you.
It's a green
Just
shower
for you.
curtain.
It's okay. Maybe it is.
It's a green
No,
shower curtain,
it's,
sir.
it's a. Hey, those work just as well.
If it's a consistent color,
It just
will
needs to
work
be. It just needs to be green. It
yeah,
just
if
needs
it's
to
a
be green, sir.
consistent color and you can tone to it, it'll be better.
Yeah. No, actually, it's not a bad.
No,
not
as
the
long
worst
as
green
as long
screen.
as you don't have any wrinkles on it and get any weird shadows on it,
No.
and it's a consistent color, it'll work. You can do it with
it
blue
was like-
too, but blue doesn't work too great. I've tried it. It's
Yeah,
not,
because
it's not amazing.
it's not.
There's
it's,
a reason
the
people
blue
went
is,
to green as a color.
Well, most movie studios still do
Will there
blue,
be
but they
latkes?
do it.
I certainly hope so. I love latkes.
Yes, there will be latkes. Just wait, because Tuesday the 12th.
So I'm going to
What
bring
day
up the
is,
comment that you were most curious about, and then I'll get to some
Yes,
of these other ones.
Tuesday
Okay,
the
Myers is saying we're
14th.
both speaking at the same level now, so that's good.
Okay, Tuesday the 14th. I will have a menorah on the show.
That's right. We're coming into that season, aren't we?
We are coming
We are
into that season.
Sneaking up on me this year, man. So,
I know.
I
wanna
have
hear
been,
this.
and this
I
is
wanna
going to
hear
sound
this.
this is going to sound worse than it is. I started playing Demon Souls again, and I've been having
And
more
someone
luck-
called the cops on you, I would too.
little there. So I've been getting a little bit further on it. I've been taking it a lot more methodically. I really haven't been getting too upset with it, but I did beat a fairly difficult boss on Friday. I had before, when I was playing it, I managed to beat. I don't know how much you played of Demon Souls or how much the chat's played of Demon Souls. The very first boss you fight is the Phalanx, and that one's really not too hard to down, right? The next one that you more organically run into is the Tower Knight. And I had never managed to beat him before. I had kind of skipped past him, gone to the next boss in the next area called the Armor Spider, which I found a way to cheese, which I abused this time too. And then I was working on two bosses for a while. Now, the Tower Knight I beat on like Thursday. Friday, I was fighting one known as Flame Lurker. Flame Lurker is kind of a bit of a nightmare. A buddy of mine found him pretty easy, but I'm surprised the cops weren't called during Mega Man X3. That's fair. That's totally fair. And so it took me like an hour and a half or so to down this guy. And then I was just like, yeah, woo! And, just, fist pumping and all that other good stuff, just having a good time because I'd finally managed to beat the boss. And it wasn't that the boss was unfair. The boss was just challenging and just got harder as the fight went on because he got a lot more erratic. Okay, so Galaxy beat it on PS3, so I'm sure you remember how tough that guy can be if you're unprepared and you're not very good at Souls games like, me. And so he was kind of beating me up pretty bad until I managed to drop him. So I finished that up. Me and my buddy Rob got together. We hang out every other Friday, and went off to dinner. And so we're sitting there, blah blah blah. So we're sitting there at dinner, and all of a sudden I get this. Nicole goes, "Well, today's been kind of rough," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, the cops showed up," and I went, "I'm sorry, what?" And apparently they had gotten a domestic disturbance call. And apparently they weren't even joking around, because somebody came to the front door and then there was another cop car on the side road. Just in case, I guess, I tried to dart out of our 2-story house and like make a run for it or something. I don't know what they were thinking. Complaining about a dog yapping and like a man and woman bickering. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, and it was supposedly happened around 2 o'clock. And I'm like, the only thing I was doing around 2 o'clock is I was in a meeting for a little bit. And then close to 3 o'clock, I beat Flame Lurker. And I'm like, I got pretty loud then, and the sliding doors open so the dog could go in and out if she wanted to. But there was no one else here, right? I was the only one home. And my dog doesn't yap, right? She's a husky. She's like a 50-pound husky. They don't yip. Like, there's no yipping. Like, that just doesn't happen, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
My God.
When they said our street, there's like 4 roads around us that are named the same as our street. It's just instead of drive, it's like lane, place, way, etc., right? So the only thing we can think of is either somebody got confused from when I beat Flame Lurker and went back to the Nexus to turn in my souls to gain levels and thought that voice was the woman's voice I was arguing with, which makes no sense. And that my 50-pound dog was somehow yipping like a little 13-pound dog. Or they got the wrong street. But either way, the cops showed up at my house for some weird name. You know, Galaxy, I know a guy on YouTube that would say that's absolutely cheating, but I don't care. I've been using a guide on this a lot myself. Matter of fact, I beat a boss today in it that I had to figure out. I had to look up because it wasn't making any sense what I needed to do. Like, I wasn't understanding the mechanic. And so I looked it up, and they're like, because I was fighting the Dragon God boss today. They're like, you have to hide behind the pillars. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, I can use the pillars. And so I started doing that. And I'm like, oh, I can see what you're talking about. And I ended up looking at 2 different videos because one was like, just hide behind the pillars. And then the guy doing the video was just charging down, not using the pillars, getting hit and going, yeah, so you need to do this really quick. And by the way, 2-hand your sword as I'm using a 1-handed sword to do this. And I'm like, I hate you so much right now. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves with people that do guides. Like, if you do a guide and you're explaining something, have the action on the screen reflect what you're trying to tell me to do, so I can put those 2 things together. Don't just put random footage of you running down there with, like, enough health to kill every boss in Demon Souls without ever healing, and just taking those hits and tell me, well, you need to hide behind the pillars, which you're obviously not doing. Mike, you disappeared from my screen again. I have no idea what's going on here. There you are. What are you doing?
I wasn't doing anything.
Okay, I don't know what's going on tonight with the control room thing, because I haven't done anything.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So that was my Demon Soul story for the weekend. Oh, now you have a virtual background. No, you're just playing with things.
No, I'm trying to get rid of.
I bet they get a lot of Demon Souls calls. Honestly, I've not gotten that upset at this game. I've gotten more upset at trying to get through some of the parts of the stages. And I'll admit, the boss I was fighting today I was pretty annoyed with, mostly because of I didn't like the mechanic. I thought the mechanic was stupid. And now I have a black screen. And I show a black screen in the control panel too. So I don't know what you're doing.
Almost done loading model.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to do... No, I didn't want to do face mesh. I wanted to do... Oh, now, what the hell? What in the blue hell
I don't know what you're doing. You're breaking everything that we carefully set up.
Oh, my God.
That is nightmare fuel. Never do that again.
Oh, my Lord.
It's like an evil clown.
That is not what I was trying to do.
It looks like an evil clown met the face thing from Star Fox.
I was just trying to do a digital zoom. All I'm trying to do is just get rid of my background.
See, Mike is over here trying to give you guys nightmares while I'm trying to tell you fun stories about why the police raided my house.
No, I'm listening. I'm just trying to figure out why I can't. All I want to do is just not have this background because Chuck made me pull my freaking green screen out.
See, his MK gets me. He goes, "Yeah, it was the Final Boss and Star Fox that just showed up on stream."
All right, hang on.
JDA Delete says next week they'll get a call from you playing Castlevania 3 or Power Wash Simulator. Can't wash the blood out of the swing set.
Oh my.
Oh, God. Switzerland's in here. Good to see you, man. It was a trans rainbow Hellraiser.
My Lord, what's up? What's up, Clear
God.
Sight?
Mike is either becoming Andros or becoming a new terror mask.
All I was looking for, and where's my new...
And don't even play Postal, you'll go to jail. Galaxy says, now you have a background. Chuck's like, who uses a green screen? I mean, come on, really? Now he's trying to get you to not use the green screen. 2-hour stream of tech issues, apparently, Corge.
There we go. Okay. All right.
This is the quality stream you can look forward to on my channel, folks. Welcome to
Well, I feel
RetroRoots.
left out because you actually have a green screen that looks badass. All I want to do is
you know what this is? This is one of those Elgato pop-up ones. That's all it is.
Well, if I could get, I mean, if I spent any amount of time, I could make this work, but I don't want to. But I look at a place when it's just this, my like this whole thing.
Zombie.
Now there's a
way
digital
to say Splatterhouse in Hebrew.
Splatterhouse. Well, let me see. Hang on.
But Geek
Indy
is using one too. Yes, I am.
Indy.
I cheat.
Hold on. The word for house.
No, officer, there wasn't a prostitute. I was playing GTA 5.
All right, the word for house is bayit. So now I have to figure out how to do splatter bayit.
Oh my God, we haven't even gotten to the topic yet. Welcome to the NLG show on Monday.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's not, no.
Gorgeous, like, I'm not complaining. It's great entertainment.
Galaxy thinks my room is fine. Thank you. So now that I put on a digital green screen, now what? Because now there's no place in Video Ninja
I have no idea what you have done, sir.
There's no place in Video Ninja now to now there's no place to actually chroma key it out. What the hell?
You have volunteered for the demon souls of streaming, sir. You created
you know what?
And volunteered, even possibly paid to go into this hellscape, sir. Congratulations.
Oh,
Izuke says, I'm down for 2 hours of tech issue mega mix. Let's go.
I swear I'm not really
board, cheap and effective way to green screen. And he's right.
I swear I'm not really I'm not really a dog.
The topic is a suggestion? Yeah, pretty much. Kind of like our sanity.
I'm not really a dog.
Oh my God. All right. All right.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm going to absolutely throw some hellfire on whoever it was that decided to microwave a tuna sandwich in the doctor's lunch. Oh my God.
Oh,
that's
no.
the worst, dude.
Oh,
that is the worst.
Someone must die for that.
Yeah, I don't even like to bring...
Right, I'm putting this away.
I had some like salmon jerky that I don't even take into the office because it smelled too bad. It's tasty, but... Corge has got to head to work. Thanks for coming in, Corge. I appreciate it, man. Delete's like, are you sure it was a tuna sandwich?
This is the stuff I do for you, Chuck. Okay. Who the hell microwaves tuna? Is that even legal?
It really shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It should
I
not
look
be.
so out of place with you. It's this beauty and me with this whole framed. How do I get rid of just all I want is just me?
Do you feel better?
Now you're bigger than me.
Shut up, bitch. Fine.
This could be. Come a little closer. Come a little closer.
Do I need to be a little closer?
Come a little closer.
A little closer. How's this? How's this? We are one! We are legion! Okay.
All right.
This is the kind of fun stuff I can do now that I can just freeform all of this. I don't know if this is
could be the
entertainment
greatest
or not.
show.
I'll be honest.
This could be the greatest show we've ever
Like
done.
with the shower curtain now, yes, he is. Mike is wrecking his room now.
Oh my God, they're clicking together
Sometimes
like
the pH balance
Voltron.
might be off. JD totally agrees with that. Now everybody's just like, oh my God, bring back the green screen.
Shut up, Chuck.
People in my office use their microwave.
Oh
for
my
casserole. As long as that
Hold
doesn't
on, but
explode, I guess
wait.
it's okay.
Is MK's is the best. Oh my God, they're clicking together like Voltron. Oh my God.
This is a special effects stream
Oh,
next
my
level.
Lord.
It just made the whole room appear behind him. Blues is like, that escalated quickly. I'm scared.
And here you go. Here is Splatterhouse in Hebrew. Just for you.
No.
Oh my Lord. Okay. Woo!
Original next level green screen. All right. So,
Okay, topic.
We're about 30 minutes in and we haven't gotten to the topic yet. It
Chuck
really
says
does
I
feel
need
like
to
a
go make
Tuesday.
it. I need to go make a tuna
Too much
sandwich.
take care of us. Jeez. One time I got in my office microwave to squid on rice. Oh no! Seafood was banned from the microwave.
Somebody says we are trapper keeper. Yes.
Wait,
Hey,
Mike,
man,
it
I
looks
need my
you-
trapper
did you see
keeper.
the camera in?
I need
We
my
are
trapper keeper, man.
We are one.
My trapper keeper is so cool.
So,
All right, remakes,
Oh my God.
remakes,
yeah,
remasters.
you brought this up because
I
RE4 got
don't-
nominated for one of the
Game of the Year,
awards.
a travesty.
Like actual Game
yes.
of the Year, which seems kind of
Yes,
ridiculous
actual
to me.
game. It's not the only one that's been nominated.
Yeah, I honestly did Metroid Prime get nominated as well. I don't
Yes.
know about you guys, but I think I'll wait for the remastered edition of the stream.
Oh, Sai, what's up, Sai?
I'm just glad I'm not the only person Balls is getting over nightmares too. Nope, he's doing it to about 25, 30 people in a room.
I am taking everybody on a ride through the Poconos Woods right now.
Yeah. There's a story behind that too. We may get to that later. That is an inside joke from when we were all in Philadelphia and Mike decided to take the most scenic of scenic routes through every
there's
set
only one-
of Jason horror movies that has ever existed.
Because
he
there's
brought
only one
Sai
highway in Pennsylvania.
to the location.
There is only one highway in Pennsylvania. And we,
So it was interesting.
oh my
Remasters are
God.
normally better than the remakes. Retroactive fish sticks anyway. Radioactive fish sticks.
Galaxy Red is
Wait for
attempting
Mike
to
Moss
actually
to
talk
get
about the
green-
topic.
Green screened.
Wait, Mike, if Geek looks bigger, can't you just zoom your camera in? Why, yes, I can. Why, yes, I can.
Oh God, we just went up your nose. That's not good. Oh, that's an image no one needs. And
Oh,
everybody
my Lord.
leaves my channel and stops following immediately on both platforms. Thanks, Mike.
Oh,
Much
okay, you're
appreciated.
welcome. All right, coming to a Casa
Very
cafeteria
near
near
you.
you. Oh my
Served on
God.
a newly
On a
made
newly
floor.
made glass floor. Damn. Wow.
Blues, we have a clinger. You deserve that. Galaxy, I made a mistake. Oh my god.
Oh, so those of you who are new to our show on Rumble, this is what happens.
Yeah,
you guys basically
so
drive the show, and the folks that are on YouTube, it becomes their mission to do this.
Yeah.
So you guys have actually come into this nicely, because usually it's Zombie and company that tends to pull us way off the rails.
Yes.
But you guys have taken the roller coaster car and flown it to a whole different roller coaster.
It's been a good time. There's only one out in Pennsylvania. It's like a tagline that runs along the bottom of a DVD case. Oh my god,
All right, so look, this trip is actually enshrined in audio. There's a great guy who was in this car with me and Super Mega Graphics 64. His name is Dreadpool, and my son Seth. And this was recorded. This was like the Blair Witch Project. It was recorded for later consumption. And it's actually on a. I will find the channel. I will find this.
And for context, Dreadpool looks like one of the horror movie murderers, and he is the nicest guy you will ever meet.
He does.
But he looks like the guy you would cast as like the murderer in one of these films.
All right, so very quickly, there was a convention a couple of years ago that a bunch of us went to in Pennsylvania.
I picked up. Mountain, I know what you're talking about.
I picked up. It's
my state of PA. We have some dirt roads too.
There you go. I picked up Dreadpool and Super Mega Graphics 64 from the airport to take to this convention, and there's only one highway to this place. It's a north-south highway with only two exits. I missed them both, and so we ended up in the Poconos. Now, I've been to the Poconos. Seth's been to the Poconos. It's no big deal. But to Sai, who's never been apparently in the woods before, my favorite, and all the houses in the Poconos look like the Amityville Horror house. But my favorite line, I will never forget this. We're driving past an old house, and Super Mega Graphics looks and goes, "That looks like that. That's a house." He goes, "No, that looks like the shed in the back of the house that you go to get killed in."
What's funny is Super Mega Graphics is from Texas.
I know.
They have to have those in Texas. I just feel like it's there. So before we lose everybody else, because we had like 25 people, we're down to 17 on Rumble because they're just like, I don't know what these guys are doing, but I'm out.
It's not retro.
They have lost the plot. We're out.
It's not retro.
So
okay,
the idea of this tonight's episode, once we got past the shenanigans, which we're probably not past, I'll be honest, we're gonna get derailed again. It will happen. It's a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Was to go over some of these, like the Resident Evil 4. There's a, and what brought it to my mind too tonight was The Last of Us 2 is being remade already.
Yes, already.
Metroid Prime got remastered, and that came out this year as well. And I thought that was actually an excellent remaster. I was very happy with that. I thought it fixed a lot of the issues I had originally with the control scheme on it. Because around that time, I picked up the Xbox and was playing Halo, and then picked up a GameCube after. And it felt like I went back to like almost tank controls because it was felt very clunky on the controller because it used every button in like every conceivable combination it could to make that control scheme work. And while it was a very good game, I found it very frustrating to fight a couple of the bosses because I had trouble doing the lock-ons and executing the mechanics on that controller. So I ended up putting it down. Matter of fact, I didn't finish that particular one until I played it on the Switch this year and finished it. And I absolutely had a blast with it on that. It's just like I'm trying to steer us back on topic.
Yes. Well, and
you should know what it means to have a death
I
shack.
have. I've been playing, and I've been playing the Dead Space. I keep calling it Deep Space. God damn it! I don't know why.
Dead Space. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I think
for
that
some
got
reason,
released, what, last year?
the
last
remake
year?
of Dead Space.
Yeah. Was that this year?
I can't remember. I mean, it hit Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I've been playing it, and I've been playing that remake. There also was supposed to be a remake
because I never played through Dead Space, but Dead
I
Space
didn't
was
either.
like a 360 era game if I remember right.
Yes. No.
With him and Dripple thinking their plan of getting lost.
Only because Seth was there and he would have been a witness. I couldn't do it with
Seth would have backed you up.
Yeah, I couldn't do it with Seth in the car.
And yeah, some of them have been better than others as far as how they're trying to redo the game. And I know at one point they were trying to redo KOTOR, and that was supposed to be like a full remaster, I think.
And
I think everything
sounds
was
a lot
be rebuilt
like
from the ground up.
And it sounds a lot like That's Dead.
Yeah, I think that one dropped. And it's just, I just has to zoom in if you wanted to be bigger than Nick. They're still arguing about the nose cam. Had to deliver news to family at their old grandmother rest, and they were discussing burial. I don't know where that conversation's going, Andy. I'm a little confused. So,
stay with me. This is hilarious.
yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. We'll get back to that in a minute.
I'm waiting for the
I ran out of space to type. So you're playing Dead Space.
Dead Space. Yes, the remake. And I'm very much enjoying it. You know, and it got me to thinking because RE4 was nominated for Game of the Year this year.
Mm-hmm.
Where should remakes kind of
everything's
getting
they
remade?
should have their category. Like, shouldn't they have?
I
Its own
agree.
category?
I agree.
Before, I agree with not having a category because it was pretty rare that they happened. Now it seems like, especially with the way that the medium is going, I expect to see this more. And by that I mean you're going to be buying things just digitally within a couple of years, most likely. They've already mostly stopped physical movie sales. They're not really, a lot of people aren't releasing music on vinyl or CD anymore. I know
vinyl,
bands that have stopped doing that or didn't even start doing that.
Vinyl's coming back huge though.
Vinyl is, but there's a lot of bands, like a bunch of newer bands with like from the newer generation, and they're not even doing physical. Like they're just not doing it. They're only doing digital, right? So with a lot of the stuff happening, and it's hitting the gaming scene too, that I expect to see this happen more often, because that's how they're going to do their, instead of doing backwards compatibility, they're going to keep remastering and remaking these things and just selling them to you on the new console. That's how they're going to do it. I guarantee you it's how they're going to do it. As Zombie says he believes that games that haven't been updated or had a sequel in years should have a chance at a remake and or remaster if the fans deem it so. And I would like to, there's games that are older or that are not as well known, like Beautiful Joe. Again, that's in the same era as the original Metroid Prime. I would like to see that kind of get a remaster because I feel like that could get more love this time around. There's games that are older than that, like Little Samson and stuff like that, that I think could use a new lease on life. And any number of other games. That's just kind of what popped in my head at that time.
Well, so here,
I'm still confused in the story because Andy brought up the second part of his story.
Silent cremation.
Like, it's 20 yes. And the rest of him wanted to know why he said that.
Oh my God.
I'm betting she wasn't dead.
No. Read the last one. Oh my Lord. That is.
Because Bubba
Oh
has a
my
titanium
goodness.
hip replacement, so I want to use it. What? Oh, that's messed up.
That is
wrong.
All right, so that is wow. Okay.
I don't think remakes should be eligible for Game of the Year.
Wow.
Same
Yeah,
for
I don't
remasters.
either.
I don't think they should be eligible for Game of the Year.
No, I think there should be their own category.
Is my mic still low? Everybody else said my mic was fine.
Which is weird because I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Yeah. I mean, I could turn it up a little bit more, but I also don't want it like spiking too much. Because I've basically been pumping the volume up on this a little bit the rest of the evening. And if I get to...
In OBS or locally?
No. This mic is plugged into a Rodecaster. And I turned the volume down on the Rodecaster.
Gotcha.
Because that's where the input goes into. That's where all the volume controls are.
So, the thing about... if there is a game that you...
Faxanadu was one of them that people mentioned. Monster Party was another one.
Yeah.
That they mentioned. And these are all really older games that... a lot of these are IPs that people are frankly just sitting on. And that's why nothing's happening with them. Like there's... And this goes back to something that was done on like that Panda had mentioned on his Master Debater series, where the people have these IPs and then they just sit on these IPs and they don't do anything with them, right?
They don't do.
So you can't get remasters or anything like that because it's just in this big bulk of like intellectual properties that they bought, most of which they're not even paying attention to. They probably used maybe one or two of them at most out of the whole kit that they bought, and just don't care about the rest.
Right. And where I wish, I wish that there was a all right, so let me
see a release.
Back up a second.
I'd love to use my game on a physical copy in that older style oversized printed box covered in sweet artwork. You're thinking of like a Atari and Television era game cards that had amazing artwork on the box.
Now, I'm gonna back my mic up a little bit because his MK says my mic might be a smidge loud. Let me know if that's any better. And I can always.
Yeah, I'm not
adjust.
sure why we're having mic level. I'm guessing it's because we're using the new setup and the
yeah, and some of that's just going to be some of it's just going to be trial and error. I go back and listen to some of my streams, and some of my audio is still off depending on what I'm doing.
Hey, Scrambles.
So my issue with just nothing but remasters is we're in an era now where it's one thing if you're remastering. It's one thing if you're remastering a game from, I don't know, from the Dreamcast or the PlayStation 1, right?
Right.
It's another when you're remastering a game that you could, Microsoft's had this big thing about backward compatibility. And they've got a fantastic backward compatible library of not just Xbox 360, but Xbox. And in many of the Xbox 360 games, in fact, on the Series X, in their newest line of consoles, backward compatible games automatically get an auto HDR, and a lot of them get an automatic frame rate boost. And they look.
And they even have some Xbox, some regular Xbox games on there because I haven't messed with it in a while, but I had installed Crimson Skies. That you could buy for like $5-10 and play. So even a lot of the original Xbox titles were popping up in there.
And I'm looking something up here. I'm looking up the list. It's a pretty.
I get what you mean, SMK. That makes sense too. They were very similar in style. If you look at some of the Intellivision boxes and Atari boxes, you'll understand what I'm talking about. They're very similar.
Right. So again, for me, backward compatibility has kind of changed this because you can make remastering The Last of Us 2, I think is dumb. It's to me that's it's a potential cash grab.
Thanks for popping in, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Blues.
Yeah, I love Crimson Skies.
Oh, Crimson Skies was so good. And instead of a remaster of that, how about we make a new one? How about we just make a new one? Come up with a new story, come up with some new mechanics, right? And right, exactly, as MK, they're already talking about remastering Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
We're remastering games that you
aren't
can
that
already
old. And
play.
and that's part of my frustration with The Last of Us 2. It's not that I have anything against that game. I haven't played that series, and honestly, with all the controversy and everything around that series, I don't want to. And it's just because of all the baggage that's come along with it. I don't care how good it is at this point. It's just kind of a stigma that's sitting around the game now that's going to sour a lot of people's opinion on the game, right? Mine included, and I haven't even touched it yet. But the other side of that coin is you're also tying up Naughty Dog Studios that could be doing more things and just redoing this game over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because they've done The Last of Us at least 3 times. And now they're starting it on The Last of Us 2. So I feel like they're going to end up in the cycle where if they're not remastering one, they're remastering the other one. Right? And they're not doing anything new. You're not going to see anything else from the Uncharted universe. You're not going to see any other potential products that they have. Those are the 2 main ones. Didn't they do Dragon's Dogma originally too?
Hmm. And if you're going to remake a game, right? I think
I don't know, Sai. I haven't really looked.
Yes, there were, and there already was one that got sold out. They were selling the 1 terabyte for $89, and it sold out almost immediately. So keep an eye out. There we go, Galaxy. I grew up.
Yeah, that was my first console too. Was ColecoVision.
That was.
I have more memories of my NES and up though because I was a little bit older and I just have more of those memories stuck. I do remember playing the living crap out of Time Pilot, Venture, and Smurfs, and a little bit of Turbo.
I had Turbo with the wheel. Smurfs Adventure was really my first.
I really enjoyed Smurfs.
That was my first real platformer.
Dragon's Dogma doesn't need a remaster; it needs a sequel, which is on the way. And, they are working on that. I think that was close.
So when you look at remakes versus remasters, here's the difference too. So let's set the parameters. A remake is something that they take the base game and they make improvements to not just the graphics. They make improvements to they'll redo the character models. They might redo the look of the environment. They may add gameplay elements to, for example, with Dead Space, apparently your original main character didn't speak. In this game, he speaks.
Right, and I don't know if that's better or not. I mean, there was something about having the protagonist you're playing not say anything that allows you just to kind of fill in those gaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't have a point of reference on it since I didn't play the original.
Maybe I should release.
But I've also
game. The first one is a remastered edition just to be funny. I love that. That's fantastic.
Not all, and so there were some gameplay elements. There are some things that are different about the game. A remaster is really just a fresh coat of paint on a game that gets no real upgrades other than a resolution bump, maybe a frame rate bump. But again, these are things with newer games that you can now do with backward compatibility.
To a point, some of the game's resolutions and things like that may not scale very well. And in the case of, well, I guess Metroid Prime would be more of a remake than a remaster because they did add newer control schemes. Yeah.
And that's a remake. Not all remakes are good too. There was a game called 13 that was made by
wasn't it what's his name that did No More Heroes? Suda 52 or something like that.
It was developed by Ubisoft. It was a Ubisoft game.
Oh no, I remember this one. They kind of ruined that game when they modernized it because they changed a bunch of the stuff with the style.
Exactly. And just to spite, I went through and I streamed my original Xbox copy, which happened to be backward compatible, but I played it on the OG Xbox.
See, this I agree with too. The Link's Awakening, because I played through the original through emulation before I dove into the remaster of it, and the remaster is basically a remake because they changed some of the mechanics. They changed the art style to where it looks a little bit more toy and doll like, and it's a fantastic remake of the original one while still keeping that feel and tone
you're
of
talking
the original
about
game.
I said you're talking about Killer 7, Geek.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But 13 was still a worse game remade. And the original and the original from 2003 actually held up and was so fun to go back and play again. And that's where I really wish sometimes that they'd leave a game alone. Make it backward compatible, right? Work with Microsoft, work with Sony, work with Nintendo can work with its own internal parties to make a game backward compatible, and that's where game preservation comes in.
Well, and some of the times they need to be held accountable too. KOTOR 2 is an example of that, right? Because they released that, and a lot of people bought that not only because they were going to be able to play it on their Switch, but they were going to do all the extra DLC for it as well. All that stuff that got left out, they were going to complete that, and then they dropped it. Yep, they completely dropped it, so it became a complete bait and switch. And yes, I didn't ignore your comment. I saw it, but we were in the middle of a row of things. And they actually it's been a couple years now, but they did have a DOA 6, which is actually a really fun game. But yeah, they pull some of these. They pull bait and switches on. Some of these they don't complete. Some of these come out worse than the originals because they don't. The part of the problem, it depends on the team that you have on it. If you can get mostly the original company with some of the original staff members that kind of understood the art direction and why they did the things the way they did them, then you can kind of keep that integrity, right?
Right.
Or if the company has a long memory, like Nintendo is really, really good in this area of doing stuff like this and keeping things kind of in line with the way that they feel certain characters and things should be portrayed, right? And you usually end up with a much better product for it, right? Whereas other companies will just hire somebody else and go, well, you're going to do this because we just hired you and this is how it's going to be. And they have no concept of why that game worked. None of them are fans of that game. It may be their first project, and they have absolutely no clue what they're getting into. And the product, it shows in the product because they didn't do any homework on it before they started working on it, and that's a problem.
And I think if you're going to do a remake of a game, it's got to be old enough that it's a game that you cannot bring back in any other format, but you want to. So I'll give you a couple of examples, right? Alex Kidd in Miracle World. It was an original Master System game.
Yeah, they didn't give one on the Switch. I haven't picked that up.
Which it came out on everything: Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. Right? ActRaiser was a very popular Super Nintendo game. ActRaiser Renaissance came out a couple years ago for the Switch, Windows. And that's
I did not hear good things about either one of those in particular. Worse about ActRaiser than Alex Kidd.
Right. But if you're going to do that, those are the games that I think you should do. Assassin's Creed, you can make those backward compatible. You know, Baldur's Gate, if it came out on the OG Xbox, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, make it that kind of thing. The Bard's Tale is a good one that got remade. You know, they remade
Quest
that
got
into
a remake not that long ago too. They did a King's Quest collection. And again, did we go into collections with this? If we're also gonna go on the side of preservation too, and do we go that angle with it in this conversation as well, or do we leave that kind of alone? Because we've talked about collections before, maybe not on Rumble, but we've talked collections before.
I think you can, and I think that's fair game. I think that if you're
And is MK also mentioned, what do y'all think about the System Shock remake? And honestly, I'm cool with that because I never thought the original System Shock, and as far as I know, it's never really been touched since that one dropped. And it's been a long time. That was like, what, close to PS1?
Right.
For System Shock? And I feel the same way with like the Quake games, right?
The original Quake games,
Shock, why not, right?
The original System Shock was DOS. So Quake, though, all right. So Quake and Doom, though, like Quake's, I just played through Quake on Game Pass.
Yeah,
it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, they remastered those, but those are like from the '90s, man. Those are like early era.
Correct.
Well, I'm hesitant to call them 3D shooters because of the nature of how FPSs worked around that time, and I think most everybody here is old enough to have seen those and understand the difference between those and something like Halo and the 3D models used there, because it just wasn't 3D. It was mostly forced perspective. Whereas by the time you had Halo, you actually had 3D models.
Right. And that's... So if you're going to remaster that, because that was out on... I mean, that's DOS, that's N64, that's Saturn.
Yes.
I'm okay. I'm okay with remastering that, right? I'm okay with remastering. There was a Quest for Glory remaster. So the King's Quest thing, though, was a little different. So King's Quest did get, and this was back to give you an idea of how far back remasters go. The King's Quest series got remastered into VGA from 4-color CGA. And then
those things started early 80s. I want to say like 82,
84.
Was it
84 was King's Quest. Yep.
Yeah.
And so they got remastered and remade later on. And then, of course, King's Quest got a brand new King's Quest episodic that I thoroughly enjoyed. So Galaxy's asking about the Dark Force remake.
Dude, I am so stoked for that.
I am
super
too.
Excited for that because I love that game on DOS, and again, that's another one of those like original Doom era games. It came out around the time of like Doom and Quake, right?
Right.
Because everybody was calling it a Doom clone, and technically it kind of was. So they had a little bit more of the aiming finesse that Quake was known for. So it was a little bit closer to Quake than it was Doom, in all honesty. So being able to get a full remake of that, and God willing, like Jedi Knight, and maybe Jedi Knight 2, because those are within a couple of years of each other. So I feel like if you can go through and do that whole series, and we can get that whole series in a nice 4K format, that would be phenomenal.
Now,
and what they're doing with Dark Forces looks like it's going to be like that's going to be my jam.
Well, so what they're doing is they're calling it a remaster, and Night Dive, who's doing that remaster, has said that it's a difficult remaster because of the things that they have to change. And Galaxy, yes, the new King's Quest is not a remake. It was a different story. It's a new game. It's an episodic game.
Right.
But they did remaster King's Quest from, like I said, the original DOS, which was either 4 or 16 color. So you had 4-color CGA or 16-color EGA, or if you had a Tandy TGA, which I had. but they brought out VGA 256 color versions of each of those games: King's Quest, Space Quest, Police Quest, and they made them a little bit nicer looking and stuff.
And so brings up a point here, time for Sega to do re-releases of some of their arcade games.
Yes.
Maybe packs. Single game downloads would be cool too. And honestly, there's a cool thing on Steam, and I don't know if it's on the other platforms, that I need to dive more into. It's called the Capcom Arcade. And what it is it's a free downloadable interface of which you can pay small little monetary sums of like $2 to $4 or $10, $20 for larger packs of their arcade games and play them in this. So it's sort of like a free application / portal to be able to buy some of their arcade games. And I feel like Sega could have some success in that arena too with something like that, so long as they maintained it.
Oh,
K says the world is ready for a Zork remake.
I did Zork remake.
Those detailed fonts money can buy.
All in Rumble font.
That's right.
So
they got rid of my Xbox One Doom games, traded them in the pawn shop with some other stuff towards $250 for 7-string. But you got a guitar out of it.
I can't.
I can't really argue with you, man. You got an instrument out of it that'll probably last you much longer than you might play those games. So,
and Sai, there are some games on Xbox from Sega. So like there's a Daytona USA and stuff like that. This is a really funny quote, by the way, from Night Dive when they were talking about Dark Forces. It says Dark Forces presented a rare case in which the developer was able to get a hold of the source code for the original release, and the guy who is working on it said, we had to modernize all these concepts that worked for programming in DOS for your 486 or Pentium, but don't fly on your 16-core infinite gigahertz modern processor.
Right. And honestly, I'm hoping they add some niceties like free look and stuff like that, right?
Well, I don't know that they're doing that. That's
really?
just it.
I don't know
what they're doing.
The way it was. I mean, it'll still be nice. I mean, the game was kind of balanced that way. So unless you're going to make some changes to some of the encounters, you might have to leave it that way, I guess. It'll feel weird, but I got used to it with like Doom 64, which I need to spend more time on that game. And I need to try the Quakes as well.
Quake was really good. I streamed Quake
1 and 2 I never played. I played Quake 4. I never played Quake 3 Arena. I enjoyed 4, what I played of it. That one's almost hinky enough looking now that you could almost remake that. That might not be a bad idea. They did do a remake of Turok, but I don't think that one got really well received. I kind of want to try it for myself. I remember trying it on the 360, and I remember I've never seen my wife dart out of a room faster in my life. She gets a little bit of motion sickness on some of the FPS games. And if it's the game I'm thinking of, when Turok moved, you know how you normally have that slow bob, right, back and forth to indicate that you're moving? His was more like, take the normal speed of like Wolfenstein and Doom doing that and multiply it by like 5. So it was just like do, constantly. And she was just like, and like gone. She's like, I can't. She's like, I can't even watch this. It was kind of funny, and I kind of felt bad for it at the same time, because even I was finding it a little bit distracting and kind of hard to play, and I don't think I ever got very far in it because it just didn't feel right. Now, the original Turok was honestly, I thought, kind of an interesting thing on the N64, because it was one of the few times I saw them do like an actual look and aim, an actual move and aim separately on it, and they did it with like the face buttons, and I thought that worked exceptionally well for the time. Now, if you're looking at it from the future where you have dual analog sticks and you go back and you try to play it that way, it's an absolute hellscape. It's awful. But at the time, it was brilliant, and we loved it. But that's that era of gaming, right? And that's where I feel like a lot of this can do a lot of real good if you take the time and you spend it wisely on keeping the flow of the game feeling the way it is and modernizing some of those things to use some of the modern conveniences. You can have a killer product on their hands that can then stand the test of time much, much better. because nobody knew what they were doing when the N64 and the PlayStation 1 came out with through 3D space, really, as far as consoles go. PCs kind of had it figured out. They were still really weren't letting you look up and down as much yet. They hadn't really gotten that far. Not in most games.
Even the Saturn. I mean, the most famous kind of remake in the Saturn's library was its pack-in game. So there was Virtua Fighter, which by all rights was a pretty dang good launch title for the Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit later, before Virtua Fighter 2 came out, those of us who bought a Saturn and registered it got a free copy of Virtua Fighter Remix, which was a remastered version of that game. Higher polygon models, it ran better. There were some small gameplay changes, and it was free. So, I mean, this is how far back these kind of remasters go. It's not just modern.
No, they've been doing it for like years and years. And if you really go back, if you really want to be like super technical about it and kind of anal about it, even on consoles like Atari and stuff like that, you would have multiple versions of carts come out as they did different fixes and tweaks to the game.
Yep.
You could almost call those slight remakes and remasters in and of themselves, or, paid DLC or patches or whatnot, however you want to call it, because they would run into issues with them as they were going along the line. So depending on when you got the cart might depend on what version of the game you actually got and how it played, because it might play vastly different as they continued to work on it, right? They just couldn't do downloadable stuff to patch the games after the fact. And then you also had games like Atari was notorious for this. They'd take Pac-Man for the 2600. They'd move it to the 5200. They moved it to the 7800. It was the same game. It was just graphically revamped from system to system to system. And they did that with a lot of the games. Centipede was that way and a bunch of others too. So it's not the only... It's been happening, honestly, since the start of consoles, for the most part, to basically kind of repackage these things and bring them back to you. However, that didn't necessarily help Atari in this particular case, because you kept seeing the same games and you didn't see as many new original games for your new hardware. So people also started questioning the value of having the new console when I already have that game and it just looks prettier, right? Why wouldn't I buy this other console that also maybe has that game that I can pick up there, but has a lot more unique and original titles that I can also play, and went with that one instead, right? So, and it kind of becomes this kind of rabbit hole of, when do you do these kinds of things? How do you approach them? And how do you make it so that your entire console generation isn't just porting things over? And I'll point at the Switch for this too, though I feel like a lot of those got undervalued on the console they were on. And I'm talking about all the Wii U ports. They got moved to the Switch, right? Mario Kart 8 is a prime example. It finally fell off like the top 20 sold games ever.
Right.
For the first time since its launch. Back on the Wii U.
Yep.
Because it's just that good, right? They hit all the notes when they needed to. Complete package Lethal Enforcers with Super Camo package for the Konami Justifier. I didn't realize that Justifier hit on the NES. The pink player. Yeah, those are cool.
I still have my blue Justifiers for my
Sega CD version. Pink one alone is $200 to lose. Holy cow. To be fair, Pac-Man's gameplay hasn't changed at all over the years anyway. There has been some modifications to the gameplay in the fact that Miss Pac-Man would move faster, and then you had Super Pac-Man and Baby Pac-Man. You had a bunch of different variations on the Pac-Man.
Pac-Land.
That hit. Pac-Land, which was the platformer on it, which actually did a lot of the platforming mechanics before Super Mario Brothers did them.
There was the 3D Pac-Man where you could jump.
Yes. So there's been a lot of different variations, but if you're looking at just the core Pac-Man, absolutely. Pac-Man 99 plays exactly like the original Pac-Man. You just have more people sending more stuff at you. Pac-Man 256, I think, often plays the same way. It's just got more kind of bells and whistles and graphical tweaks. But yeah, the base gameplay is exactly the same on those. But they've done some modifications to that formula over the years. That would actually be kind of an interesting video to go into all the different flavors and variations of Pac-Man. That could be kind of fun.
I'm working on that. That's my next.
Oh, there you go.
Comparing the classics.
Okay,
I did that. Remember,
about the main titles. The platform was technically spin-offs, and that's correct. Absolutely.
No, that yes. Yeah, I did that with Donkey Kong, and I'm going to do that. I've got all the footage taken. I just need to, get my ass in gear and do Pac-Man. But some other ones that I think are egregious are the Call of Duty Modern Warfare remakes. Like
I think Call of Duty as a series is egregious.
Well, yes, but I mean,
as I lose 2 people watching immediately, and I'm going to go on record as saying sports games too. And those are super bad offenders because a lot of them you'll notice that they won't even change the numbers on the logo when they release some of these, right? I don't know that 2023 and it'll have like 2020's logo in some spots.
Yeah,
because they're just reusing the same engine and code.
Yeah, that to me is a little bit of a different monster.
It's kind of a tangent on a similar topic.
Yeah. That like there are games that have been remastered. Hey, brother, back. There are games that have been remastered in the sports arena, like Tecmo Bowl got a remaster.
I didn't know Tecmo Bowl got a remaster.
It did. And you know what the cool thing about that one is, and this is where Tecmo Super Bowl got a remaster in like 2010. But here's the cool thing that they did. They gave you a button. You press a button and you could switch back to the old graphics.
Yeah, they did that with Secret of Monkey Island as well when they remastered it.
And with Halo.
And I know some people really liked going back to the old style, but I loved the new art direction they took with it.
I do too.
I thought if they could have done that back then, that's probably what they would have done. Because it kind of had that storybook look, right?
Yep. I mean, you could go through and you could see a ton of different of those kind of things. Right. It just, like I said, I think that if you can't anything that's I'd say PS3 and Xbox, maybe even PS2 and Xbox, that I think you can. There is some ability to do some backward compatibility with PS2. I think
PS2 is kind of hard because the architecture is so weird. So I don't, because even when the PS3 had backwards compatibility with the PS2, it was the original one, and because it basically had the original PS2 built inside the PS3.
Yes,
because the architecture for the PS3 just couldn't do what the PS2 was doing because it did in such an obtuse way. And the PS2 honestly holds up really well for that reason, because the late games rivaled some of the stuff on to almost like mid-gen on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Absolutely did.
So it was a brilliantly designed system, just a huge pain in the rear to work with, is my understanding.
But those are the games that I think from that down, I think from PS1 and kind of Dreamcast PS1 and down, you could remaster some of that stuff if you wanted to.
I would almost say I would almost throw
there's
GameCube in there as well, just because of the resolution on it and the way that controller works. You could remaster that with more modern controls, right? Dreamcast to an extent too, because it only had the one analog stick, right? So if you took some of those and you threw like dual analog controls in there along with the button scheme, you could probably make something pretty special out of that. But once you start getting to dual analogs, a lot of those systems, then their resolutions and stuff are easy to, one, manipulate onto a modern controller and to scale. But it's those weird kind of one-offs, right? Like remastering Wii games might not be a bad idea, or bringing those to the Switch because of the way the controls work, right? If you
Well,
think you can
and
make
those
something
are
unique
games.
out of it. But there's something special about the Wii games and how they control on the Wii, if they were designed for the Wii, right?
And again, it's for me, it's games that you cannot bring. It's games you cannot make backward compatible on modern systems.
Yeah,
That I think.
I think part of that comes down to the control scheme too. That's kind of my point, and why I'm pointing out the ones
Yeah.
I'm pointing out.
Well,
right?
not even. I think it's not even for me that. It's more along the lines that they're games you can't readily get. Right. So if you want to there was a remake, a remaster, for example, of Sonic CD came out. We joke about Sonic CD and me. There was it came out on.
There's been a couple of those. I think I've actually even got it on my iPad.
Yeah, because you can't. Right, because it's very difficult to go out and get a working Sega CD and a working copy of that game. So,
right.
That's a game that can be certainly remastered.
But again,
you're
also looking at it not from necessarily bringing anything new, but from a game preservation standpoint.
Correct, which I'm okay with.
Which
this being
comes
a
back
game
to
preservation.
collections again, like the
Which I'm
Cowabunga
okay
collection.
with. Which I'm okay with, because if you think about the games that are in the Cowabunga collection, you can't get. Really, your
well,
NES games, Super NES.
You can emulate any one of those. Be very
but
easily. But legally obtain them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't legally. Plus, are you going to go out and buy an arcade game to put in here? You're going to go and get the $500 1-up arcade, which isn't even a true arcade game. It's just an emulated arcade game.
Oh yeah,
no.
It's basically just the same ROM that you can run off of MAME.
Exactly. It's just legal.
It is. Yeah.
And so the Cowabunga collection is one of those games. And Digital Eclipse, what I love about Brother Mike, Mike Micah, it's what he did with like the Karateka, the making of Karateka. He was able to pull, the C64 version, the Atari version, and the
Shredder's Revenge
Apple
is
version.
amazing. I was playing that with Usagi the other night. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. And we played it when it first came out, if you remember.
We need to do another six player sitting with that.
Yeah,
because they added 2 more characters. They added Karai and Usagi Yojimbo.
Oh, nice. But those collections, making a Karateka, the Atari 50th, and bringing some of those, let's talk about Atari for a minute, and to an extent.
Let's talk about the Atari 50th and the arcade 1-up cabinet that they made for it.
Oh God!
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
And I know people that are signing up to buy it too. Like Ballistic Coffee Boy, I think he's going to buy one. He's super stoked for it. But he's a unabashed Atari junkie, so I can't really fault him, right?
I know.
He's got like all the flashbacks and all that stuff, and he just loves that stuff. And Psy may be another good cabinet if he had the space for it, because he's talking about Atari getting all this good stuff. Another collection with Lynx and Jaguar games.
Well, but go beyond that.
Those are some consoles. The Lynx stuff. There's some collections on Evercade, I know.
Right,
Jaguar,
but go beyond that.
I don't think it's been touched as much, and that one could go for a revisit, particularly for those collectors. Didn't Atari 50th have a few of those?
Yep, they did. They had a few Jag and Lynx games, but go beyond that for a second. The Recharged series, I think that is a perfect example of the correct way to remake a game. Right? These are games that were old arcade games you just simply cannot get anymore, or games on the Atari 2600 that you can get, but these are way up to date. And I would throw in, since BBG brought out, games like Astro Smash and Shark, they're out on PlayStation, or not on PlayStation, on Switch and Xbox. Those are those are remakes of old 1980s games. These are games you can't get anymore without some form of collector vision.
Well, and some of those were never released anywhere outside of the arcade. There was one, I think it was iRobot, or it was one of the very first 3D games, and one that Atari had done that came out in the arcade only, and never had a report to anywhere. And I forget what the name of it was. It was one of the very first polygonal 3D games. And I noticed it was on the Atari 50th collection too. And I'm like, see, that's a great place to showcase some of that history, some of that, specifically the arcade history, that never saw the light of day of a console because consoles couldn't do it. And by the time they could do it, nobody was really clamoring for it at the time, right? Or Atari just wasn't in good shape to do anything with it, right? Like, they could have taken the time to bring some of those things onto, say, the Jaguar, and it probably would have worked great on the Jaguar. But the Jaguar was not the most well thought out plan they ever had. It could have been something super special, but they just were not in a good spot to really do what they needed to do to make it a success at the time. Trying to be careful in case Cy tries to kill me.
Well, and going back to going back to the Atari 50th, there's a reimagined Haunted House, a reimagined Breakout. On top of Breakout Recharge, there was Neo Breakout, Quadra Tank, Sword Quest Air World, which was actually a sequel. So I mean, there were reimagined games of Vector Sector and Yar's Revenge. And Yar's Revenge got an enhanced version and then got a recharged. So I feel like Atari is a company that's doing it right.
No, Atari is doing it. My problem with Atari is doing a lot of stuff right to cater to their existing audience. What they're not doing, and what I feel like they took a step backwards from when they dropped the VCS and went this more retro route, is to not take a step towards trying to bring in newer audiences. I thought like the recharge stuff was a small step in the right direction, right? Towards doing that. And then now it feels like they've kind of ditched that idea, and they're going for this redone 2600 plus that'll do like 7800 games and 2600 games. And that's great for the collectors of the console that want to be able to play those games through HDMI on their 4K TVs and etc. and have that newer interface. But that's not going to keep your company alive past the generation that originally owned your console.
That's why they've been
and that's
acquiring.
Where I see them starting to fall apart at some point down the road. Because right now they're milking their existing audience, which is fine. Well, that audience wants this, and they're giving them exactly what they want. They have that audience nailed. So if they can do that and use that money to come up with some new stuff to make their name more recognizable again, like Sega's kind of been doing a little bit here and there with their re-release of Virtua Fighter 5. They got remastered that we all hoped was going to bring like Virtua Fighter 6 or something to the forefront, and then it just kind of went away. Or maybe Daytona or something like that revisited, That would have been a good thing for them to do, along with some of their other things that they've basically been bringing along, like trying to get Sonic back in the limelight with Frontiers and Superstars and stuff like that. So they've been doing things that kind of keep their name relevant. If Atari could even do that little amount, just a couple of games here and there, or a couple of IPs here and there.
But the Dark Forces remaster, made by Night Dive.
Yeah.
Guess who bought Night Dive? Atari owns them. Yes.
Yeah.
So Atari is doing something that I think isn't going to pay off quite yet, but they're working on. So remember,
Ew, big block.
Remember, they also
even
bought...
Scrambles is kind of wanting to collect 2600 in Sega Master System now. And
Master System,
Scrambles, if you can get a hold of one and you have a working Genesis, I'd keep your Genesis, and I'd get the power converter, and then I'd collect a lot of your Master System games that way. That way you don't have to have the Master System itself necessarily, You can just get the games, and then if there's any accessories you need to play those work through the Genesis with the power converter, like the 3D glasses, the light guns, all that stuff will work. That's probably the smartest way to do it, quite frankly, if you can find the working power converter. If not, it might be easier to get a hold of a master system. If Atari had been ruthless as Nintendo, it likely would have been the dominant console. They failed to tap down the rights to the video game technology. And, there was that. And a lot of the laws and understanding of how the technology worked. Like, if the gaming industry were to start out today with Atari probably would have fared a lot better because of the way the laws are now than the way the understanding was of how that technology worked in the 70s. Because they lost a big lawsuit that allowed third-party developers to start happening with Activision early in, I want to say the late 70s, early 80s. And then,
I think it was early 80s was Activision.
And everybody was able to make games for their console, and they had no control over it. They had no quality control over it either.
Right. So, and they couldn't set the pricing. They couldn't.
Right. They couldn't control any of it. So there's a lot of that kind of went on around that time that kind of hindered Atari, and Atari not really understanding what they had. If you really look at Atari and how they did things, that company got sold multiple times until somebody I want to say it was Time Warner Cable, which wasn't just called Time Warner at the time.
It was just Time Warner Interactive.
Time Warner Interactive that really started to figure out how to sell those consoles, because the 2600, they had an overstock of those for ages. They couldn't move them. They were just sitting on the shelves because nobody knew how to explain to people what it was and why they should want it, right? Once they started getting involved, they could basically start to move the consoles, and the consoles started to do well, but then everything started to ramp up to 15 technology-wise. You had all this new stuff coming out. They're a huge technology raise with ColecoVision and Intellivision, and most of them having adapters to let them play 2600 games. So now you didn't even need a 2600 to play 2600 games. That wouldn't even be allowed now. That would be considered intellectual property theft at that point. Reverse engineering that. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't even fly today. But that was totally legal back then. You could play 2600 games on your ColecoVision.
I had that adapter, the expansion number number 2. But going back to Atari real quick.
Bentley Bear Racing Recharge Battle Royale. Why not, Si? Just go crazy.
The thing with Atari. Hey, what's up, brother? You wrong?
How you doing? You're wrong, by the way. I pulled up a couple of your comments. I've just been kind of keeping up with the chat.
You wrong's a good guy.
He is. He's a really good guy.
They are making some moves. I mean, the acquisition of Night Dive, but the acquisition of Digital Eclipse, I think, gives them an opportunity to do exactly, because Digital Eclipse is their claim to fame is getting newer audiences interested in the older stuff. The Cowabunga collection was huge for them.
Yeah, and they need to be able to do. They need to take some of the more popular things. Here's an example: Pitfall. It got a release on the Xbox. It looks pretty solid by all accounts. I never got a chance to play it, but doing a newer Pitfall, you have a gap in the market right now of Lara Croft and Uncharted style games, right? There haven't been a lot of new entries in there. Now there's going to be a Lara Croft collection coming out of the original games, but you haven't seen a whole lot of new Tomb Raider style entries or Uncharted entries. Why not take something like Pitfall and work that into something like that? It has Atari's name on it. It has the name on it. Maybe you include arcade stand-ups inside the world like they did with Arkham Knights, right? And you can play the originals in there.
Here's the problem. Atari's going to have to work with Microsoft on that because Microsoft owns that now.
Hi, Galaxy. Yeah.
Microsoft owns Pitfall.
You don't necessarily have to take that specific one, but take something that fits inside there, right? And do something with it.
Yeah.
Pitfall is a great example if they could work with Microsoft with it and maybe get that IP back and do something with it.
Maybe
or even
Microsoft
just get rights to work on it so they could put their name on it and do something cool with it.
Or Right. Or Microsoft could, actually make a game with it.
Yeah, and Cells kind of agrees with me. It's a completely different landscape today. And,
It is.
and honestly, I don't think they could have gone after Nintendo any harder than they did. You're wrong, because they really did go after them when Donkey Kong got released on the ColecoVision, because it wasn't supposed to be it wasn't supposed to go on the PC. It was supposed to be console rights only for the ColecoVision. Well, ColecoVision came out with the Atom, which made it a PC as well that attached to your ColecoVision, and so all of a sudden, Donkey Kong was now a PC game for ColecoVision, which caused Atari to go into all sorts of a tizzy, which Nintendo didn't know. They honestly didn't know at the time that was going to happen. It just did, but they didn't have any criteria in there, and so Atari basically tried to kill them off from the very get-go, because they were originally going to do the manufacturing for Nintendo's console in the States. They were going to locally manufacture it, which was going to be better for them at the time. They also had all the distribution networks. And so Nintendo lost all those distribution networks and all those connections because ColecoVision made an attachment for their console that made it a PC, which set Atari off the deep end, making them lose their mind and sever ties with Nintendo completely. Which kind of worked out better for us in the end, because you end up with Rob and the light gun and all this other cool stuff. Not that Rob's a great device; it's a really cool talking point. I'd love to have one hanging out on a shelf somewhere.
Which is really bizarre, because if you think about, I mean, had the Famicom actually gotten a U.S. release, I don't know that ColecoVision would even have survived.
They kind of didn't. They really didn't make it much past the crash.
They didn't, but they didn't. The crash is what caused it, not ColecoVision itself.
Right.
Nintendo kind of rose from the ashes of that, but ColecoVision is not the reason for the crash. In fact, their title.
ColecoVision isn't that. There was a whole that's a whole episode that we could talk about that in and of itself, of reasons that happened.
Oh yeah.
But there was a lot of distribution issues and licensing issues and third party and lack of quality control and excessive
flooding the market
cartridge
with garbage.
production and bad marketing decisions and bad estimations of how the market was going to grow, and it's a whole rigmarole around that.
Oh yeah. But
it wasn't just E.T.
No, it was not.
Which is the most famous culprit given for the crash.
I know. But it's a wild story, because Atari was working with Nintendo to get Donkey Kong, right? And Coleco kind of swooped in and got it instead. And the only way that Atari actually ended up with Donkey Kong was that Coleco put it out on the Atari, not Nintendo. And then
Hemp's been lurking around.
Hemp.
Oh my God, 13-hour work week, my dude.
I know.
Painful.
That's why, like, Hemp. I haven't seen Hemp in my streams lately. He's been so freaking busy.
Yeah,
so busy.
I haven't seen Hemp in a while. One, he got sucked into Elden Ring, and two, he's been very busy. I love that emote. I need to get some more of mine reworked.
I know, that's a good
my
emote.
favorite one. That and the Dancing Bumblebee. I think the Grimlock one's pretty fun too.
The only way Donkey Kong got onto Atari, besides Coleco, was on computer. And by a technicality. That is a good one. Because the Coleco owned the rights to all the cartridge versions. So Atari said, okay, but you don't own the rights to the disc versions. And so that's how they got control of Donkey Kong for, like, the Atari 800, the Commodore 64. Atari Soft put that stuff out because they were able to get disc versions. They just couldn't put them out on cartridges.
Well, and arcade distribution and all that too is weird. The whole distribution network around that time is bizarre.
Oh, it's bizarre.
Because the person
so
who would
funny.
manufacture it would have exclusive rights and selling rights to certain games, even though the company made the game and owned the IP. It was just a weird, bizarre time. And Scrambles, to your Power Glove thing, I think they do. I think if you can find them, I've seen NES controllers made in lamps. I've seen light guns made into lamps. I've seen Power Gloves made into lamps. And I'm pretty sure I've seen a Rob the Robot made into a lamp as well. So you might have to look around Etsy and some of that stuff where people have taken some of those things and reworked them. Because it's pretty easy to open those up and just take the innards of a lamp and mold them to one of those things, or just wrap. Like in the case of the lamp, I think they just wrapped the Power Glove around the lamp. I think that's
that was
all
in
they
the
did.
in the sequel of Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of the leg lamp, you had the Rob lamp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Dude, man, you know, anytime you pop in, we're always happy to see you, man. You got stuff going on, and we get it. Everybody does.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's got their own stuff going on. It's totally normal.
Exactly.
Oh, it's Henry Gutsing. See,
Hey.
I can do a remake, but most of the remastered I feel are cheap. Well, yeah, and sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Every now and then you get some that are really good. Like I think Dead Space was a good use of it, maybe a little bit early. I feel like that was a good use of it. I feel like Metroid Prime was a really good use of it. I feel like Link's Awakening was another really good use of that because it was an older IP. And we're not even talking about collections. I feel like if you want to do that, if you just want to go into like retro aesthetic and like a spiritual successor or kind of bringing that kind of gameplay back, you can almost throw Shredder's Revenge in there because that's a new title but done in the old style, right? With a few modern amenities, but mostly staying close to the feel and gameplay of the original. But then that ends up at a slippery slope of looking at all the indie games that, emulate other games like Hollow Knight and Shovel Knight, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there are links to Mega Man and Metroidvanias and all that other stuff, too. Then that's something else that I would love. I would almost love to do like a showcase of like indie games and stuff like that. Kind of what's coming out and have people play some of them and see what they're feeling, what they like. I think that would be kind of a fun thing. That might be an idea to kick around with somebody at some point. But I digress.
We digress a lot in this show.
Yeah, we do. I have no idea why I have the title of Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors down below my YouTube stream. I'm now very confused.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I'm looking at my YouTube stream, and it has Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors, and it says Browse Game. But I didn't title this under Penn and Teller. So I have no idea what's going on with that.
Oh, that's funny. Hold on, now I gotta refresh her. Now I need to refresh because I need to see this.
It's just weird. I don't really know what's going on.
Now
a little full-size Christmas Story leg lamp. Those exist.
They do exist.
Those
they truly
exist.
do.
Those absolutely exist. You can find those. They start to pop out this time of year. Crazy Bus Stream win.
Bus Stream win.
Never, sir.
By the way, shout out to the Still 25.
Dude, my patience, I'm actually getting much better at being patient, putting myself through Demon Souls and Castlevania 3. And the reason it's getting there is because it has to. Because if I get angry, I can't get anywhere.
Yeah, so play that and get it all out before our next stream.
Yeah, patience is key on those. But awful. I consider doing it as a follower goal. I have thought about starting to stream Demon Souls live, but the problem with that is when I want to play that game, I just want to play that game. And if you guys see me stream it, that's cool, but I'm not going to not play it while I'm not streaming. You know what I mean? And I'm not always going to kick off a stream. I'm just going to work on the game. So you guys would see a really erratic fits and spurts viewpoint on where I am in the game.
How did we get all the way over here?
How did you get these two bosses down? What happened there? What are you doing? Or you've been cycling this boss for how long? That kind of thing.
Right.
YouTube has put in my descriptions the wrong game too. Okay, so it's not just me. All right. Back just realized he was on the wrong platform. Scramble's just going to stream Crazy Bus.
Oh my goodness.
That's great.
Shout out to the 25 people who are still watching
absolutely.
us on Rumble.
We got tons of people in here. We've actually got a solid 6 watching over on YouTube. We thank all of you guys. If you guys haven't followed the channel and you haven't followed Mike's channel or many of the people in here, JDA Delete, Cells has a good channel. You Wrong has a channel. Galaxy Red has a channel. I don't think Big Block's been doing any streaming. IsmK, I think, does some programming streams, if I recall right. Indy does some work. Sales does some work. Blazenut does some good stuff. There's a lot of good people here for you to check out. All you have to do is, if you got an account, just right-click on them and go to their channel and check them out. Follow all these people. They're all really good people. Back's got a channel, and he does a lot of good stuff too. So
a wonderful community. A wonderful community we have here.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people on both sides here too. Same thing on YouTube. You can't just right click and go to them on YouTube, but you can actually go check them out. Scrambles does some good stuff. When Zombie does a stream, it's always a blast. Super Mega Graphics 64 does a lot of really good stuff on his channel, though you need to sub to see a lot of his streams. Just as a heads up, and you might want to do that sooner rather than later. That way, when he has a stream pop up, hopefully you've met the time limit.
I meant to tell you earlier. I'm absolutely loving your channel and what you're doing, man.
Oh, Size channel, or you talking about my channel? Or? Okay.
What, your channel too?
You've been following my channel forever. What are you talking about?
Yes. No, I love your stuff. You know that. No, I'm talking no, Size channel. Size is really good stuff he's working on.
No, Size been doing good, solid stuff. So there's a lot of people on both platforms. You will not see me be the person that kind of bashes one platform over other. I know I've done a little bit of it, as there's been a little bit of bitter grapes here and there on certain things. But when it comes down to it, the platform is who you run into and the family you make along the way. And there's a great group of people on YouTube for you to watch if you're so inclined. And those of you on YouTube, you're seeing a great group of people here in this chat. These are all really great people that pop in a lot of streams. They're all super supportive. They all watch each other's backs.
I love the people.
Him himself moderates the world over on Rumble.
He moderates everybody's channel.
He does. He watches so many streams and takes care of it. Takes care of so many people over here. And there's tons of people. You'll see people streaming with other people's kids. It's got that kind of vibe going on right now. You're seeing like little kids playing with like older streamers and having a blast. It's like a whole family affair coming in and playing together. Yep. And
we've started a whole
fantastic thing to see.
We've started a whole NLG family gaming thing that we're working on.
So if you guys haven't checked it out or you're worried about making an account, I'm telling you, you're doing yourself a disservice. Just flat out. Yep. And I'll say that to the people that are here on Rumble. If you're not checking out these people on YouTube, you are doing yourself a disservice. Straight up. That's just how it is. Sorry. You can hate on it all you want to, but I know at least 20 to 30 to 40 amazing streamers on YouTube that are some of the friendliest people you will ever meet.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. I wish YouTube would die in a fire itself. But there are some awesome people that are on this platform that
Adblock isn't letting him anymore, so he can't even use YouTube. I remember they did that.
Yeah, they did that to me too.
That's their own fault. That's them being terrible. And I know, MK. I know. There's a lot of you guys that really, really hate that platform, and I get it. I feel you. That's fine. And I would like to see these guys have platforms over here too, so you guys get to experience their content for those of you that don't want to go over there. And every chance I get, I'm telling these guys, this is a good place. There's a lot of good people. Now is a great time to get in on it if you want to get in on it. There's a lot of amazing people on both sides, and I wish you guys would mingle more.
Well, I think having this chat like this is a big way to do that. So,
and it's one of the reasons I want to keep this here, because it started on YouTube. And I'm not pulling that away from the people that followed me from one channel to the next channel and continued to watch me, right? I'm not all of a sudden pulling that out from under them and telling them you have to come over here. That's not right, in my opinion. So, yeah, and YouTube did shoot themselves in the foot on that one. I agree. And there are. Stir that pudding. There we go. People on the YouTube are good people. Just YouTube is bad. And I don't disagree with you. YouTube does a lot of really terrible practices. And nobody uses YouTube as a platform will argue that with you guys. I think everybody understands that. That's not a stretch.
Well, and that makes it tough. That's why, and I know it makes it tough because where else are you gonna go, right? That's where you feel like you get stuck. I will say, and I'm not suggesting this for anybody else, but I will say that freeing myself of that and just being all in over on this side has been.
all right. I guess I can use Rumble.
Has been a good.
So it's got his Rumble account going.
Exactly. No, you can't look. It really is, and you know what? Honestly, Sai, your content would go over really well here.
Honestly, there's a big gap, and I need to do more of the retro streaming because there is a big gap in the retro streaming. JDA Delete is one of the major ones I see doing it. There's a couple other people I've met, but none as inviting as JDA Delete right now. So it's kind of like he does a lot of it. I'll do some of it. But there's Mike's doing a little bit of it here and there. I would like to add another night where I'm not just doing Castlevania 3. Maybe I just do like pick a game kind of thing and just play or jump around games. That way I can do some like different exposure of different games, which I think would be good. So it might be that if I can get to where I'm streaming more regularly, which has been difficult lately, I can do something like that. I also do want to do more of the editing streams. I think that is a useful thing to do. The reason I didn't do one this past week is because I want to start coming up with more of a game plan. So for those of you guys that are interested in that kind of content, I do have one of those that I have up where I was just editing one of my videos. I'm going to start making a more focused effort of trying to have kind of an overarching theme that may expand out during the course of the stream as to what I might cover on those kinds of editing streams. That way, since there's no way of saying, okay, here, one of the things I think, and I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, on Rumble, I don't think there's a way to do chapters. If there was a way to do chapters, I would probably do that in some of the longer videos so people could find specific things on certain streams.
Right.
But I don't think they have that feature yet. And I know YouTube does. And it's one that they should pull over here because it's a really good feature.
Mm-hmm.
But those are kind of some of the kind of things. But we've kind of derailed off the topic a little bit, which I think we've mostly covered at this point. Because now we're going into like collections and we're going into like one-up arcades and stuff like that, and video game preservation, which I know we've talked about. But we could always do that and bring in like remakes and stuff like that in there too, and what people's thoughts are. But the next time we do that, I want to bring in a couple people from Rumble. I'd like to bring in JDA Delete. It'd be neat to bring in Fused, maybe Pudge, and get some people who didn't necessarily grow up with these, and get their perspective on how this should work. I think that would be kind of a cool take on that topic. It would be a way of kind of revitalizing it a little bit. So maybe we can set something like that up. The thoughts on green screens? I like mine. Mine is swanky. Hold on. See, I look all cool on my green screen again. And Mike's all jealous. Mike's all, yeah, I'm so jealous of your green screen. As he goes back to channeling
you and your green screen. Show me your green screen.
And now I lose all the viewers I gained. Hi, everybody.
Who needs a green screen when you can be a puppy?
He makes for an ugly dog. You'd be lucky if you didn't end up in a kill shelter. Pay no attention to the man behind the green screen.
That's right.
So, let's talk about what's going on this week. I did drop a video today. It's not one I expected to get a lot of traction,
I,
given the nature of
it
the
was
topic.
it was an interesting video.
I liked it as a video, but the topic is kind of weird in that thumbnail, even though it's true to who originally found that game, which I didn't really go heavily into. I figured people could look up the Sumerian game and kind of get into that part of it. But that game didn't get discovered till like 5 or 10 years ago when a lady by the name of Kate, whose name I can't remember right now, was doing some research into it and found that game. Everybody had forgotten that game existed, that being the Sumerian game. So that was kind of like a missing link moment for city builders that nobody knew was there, that was there the whole time, right? And that's the cool thing when you get into some of these weird things that I love about doing the videos that I do. And if you guys haven't seen my uploads, the reason I'm called the Geek Historian is because I'll do a lot of geek history. It's primarily focused around video games right now and video game hardware. And I work on console documentaries too. I'm working on a Neo Geo one that I'm trying desperately to carve out time to edit so I can get it done. It's about 8 or 9 minutes of 14 minutes rough edit. Then I have to go back there and do music and another edit on it. So it's going to be a couple weeks. But those kinds of things, when you find stuff like the Nematron, when you find stuff like the Sumerian game, when you find weird links like the gunman game for the dual stick shooters that predates the Robotron game and stuff like that. Those are the cool finds, right? Those are the weird things that nobody finds that I love being able to find, and I love being able to learn a little bit about them and kind of present them and kind of get you guys thinking about them, right? Like, where did these things come from? What did people see? What have been their influences? And that was kind of the idea behind this podcast in the first place, is we talk a lot about retro because you see a lot of influence from retro in modern games. If you really start looking at games like the Souls games and stuff like that, those owe a lot of their DNA to the incredibly hard games like Castlevania 3 and original Castlevania and some of the Mega Mans, where they're just brutally hard. It's brutally hard for a different reason, and it's more refined now in those Souls games than it was back in the day, because back in the day they just wanted to make them hard specifically so you would have to buy the game. You couldn't beat it in a rental. Now they're making them hard because a lot of the challenge was lost as they started making games more and more and more accessible. So they went back to those retro roots for inspiration on how to make a game that was challenging and fun for the modern gamer, right? And even when you look at a lot of your jumping mechanics, your 3D jumping mechanics, your cover shooters and stuff like that, a lot of those things go back a lot further than you think. Racing simulator games go back to the early 80s and things like that, from consoles that you might not have ever heard of and very few people play, but you can still kind of look at it and you can see where somebody got that idea and started to push it. It's the same way with the whole Sumerian game and stuff like that.
And that was an interesting way that got put.
Yeah. So I thought I love doing stuff like that and bringing stuff like to you guys. And I got to get better about moving more of my content over, because I have almost 200 videos at this point on YouTube. And they've been in sync for a while, so you guys have been getting all the new stuff. But there's a lot of old content there that isn't here on Rumble that I need to move. And so I need to carve out time to bring some of those. And it might be that I just say, to heck with it, and I bring, I just pull a bunch of them over the weekend, and whether or not I have any video coming out or not, you guys get double videos or something, just so they're there. Because I just want to get them over so that they're there, that they're accessible to you guys. So when I reference some of these other videos I've done, you can see them. They're there. And which is why I want stuff like ink cards, and it's why I get so on Rick and other people like that, which, if you're listening, hi. I seriously doubt it, but if you're there, hi. I want my ink cards. I want my... I want my playlists, I want these things. I want Rumble to take these uploaded videos seriously, because they're a passion of mine. It's my favorite type of content to do. more than anything else. I would love to sit down and I would love to make a living just sitting down, editing these things, and bringing this stuff to you guys. I would do it all the time if I could. I love doing that stuff. And the fact that Rumble is so far behind in that avenue drives me to distraction. I'm so irritated with it. And Mike's heard me rant about it before.
I know. And it is warranted. It's warranted. And
yeah, and the videos do, if they're found, they have more staying power than the streams. Because the streams, you'll watch them, or you'll watch part of them, and then you're kind of done with them. If it's an editing stream, you can kind of go through and you can scan through those, and you can do things with those, and you can watch those, and that's kind of why I want to start doing some of those. Because I feel like those have more staying power, and those provide more to the community. I would love to be able to provide those tools to you to get you guys a leg up faster than I did when I started learning this stuff, right? So if I can organize it and you have one place to look for it and you can use it and the platform becomes something that you can use it for, then I feel like that's a way of me giving back to the community, right? Which is what I would like to do. So those are kinds of things. Can you do timestamps in the description? I don't think you can on Rumble. You can
not on
on
Rumble.
YouTube. But
you can on YouTube.
Rumble. So that's what I mean by chapters, Indy. I don't think you can do those here, unfortunately. So there's that kind of stuff that we have to overcome that Rumble has to overcome as a platform, and we have to work around and work within the confines of what we have here on Rumble in that facility, right? So anyway, that video is out today. There will be another oddity out on Wednesday. If I can get some time to edit, maybe by sometime next week, if I can really buckle down, which means I might have to be absent from streams for a little bit just to get stuff done, so I can pound through that Neo Geo video, because I get distracted with chatting and I don't get as much writing or editing done when I'm doing those. If I shut all that down, I can edit much faster, and then maybe I can get that out and have that out before Christmas, and I can start working on another one. I'd love to have something like that out. I don't know. I'm going to try to stream on Thursday. I don't know. It is Thanksgiving. I don't really know what's going on. I might try to work something in a little bit earlier in the week on either Tuesday or Wednesday to try to get something in. I don't know what yet. If it looks like I'm not going to be able to do something on Thursday, maybe I'll throw something in on Wednesday instead, and maybe do a retro stream then. Probably Castlevania 3, and then this weekend I'm going to try to be back to my more normal schedule. And hopefully I can start using the framework that we built here on this particular stream and this particular podcast to do some new stuff, because I would like to work with PandaSub on some more unique projects, and part of that is being able to bring multiple people into something where I can more appropriately customize it. And this is a big step in that direction. So I need to sit down and spitball some stuff with him and some other people. I would like to start doing more collabs and stuff like that. I know I haven't really been as social with gaming with all of you guys in the community, especially Rumble, and I would like to fix that moving forward at some point, if not this year, in the new year. So that's kind of where the channel's going. That's kind of where my headspace is right now. Mike, I think you guys are doing an NLG before the holiday, right?
We are. So we're tomorrow night. And we're going to have a great guest, or two guests, on tomorrow night. We are going to have the Game Complainers. Good guys.
Are those guys, did they move over? Or
they're
did they
working on it.
over here and start bringing stuff in?
They're working on it.
Okay.
We're gonna be talking to them. I'm just bringing people over at this point.
I've been trying, but my crowd is very happy on YouTube.
I hear you. But, so tomorrow night we're gonna have an NLG show, 9:30 standard. I'm not sure what we're doing for Thanksgiving. I might do a Thanksgiving stream. I don't know, but at the very least, on Friday night with Peter and Mike, we are actually playing Exoprimal with Vaping Gamers and Scottish Viking Gaming. So we're going to do a menage.
I do want to do some more of that. Honestly, I don't know if you picked it up. Did you ever pick up the Ghostbusters game?
Oh, no, but
Spirits Unleashed, I think it's called.
Yeah,
I think it's
I'm
only
ready
like
to do
20
so.
or $30 new either way, but that would be a fun game because it's 5-player, right? 4 people play
Right.
the Busters and then 1 person plays the Ghost. So that
I
could
would be
be a
into that.
fun evening stream too for a bunch of people.
I would be into that. So we're gonna do that on Friday, and then Saturday, before Jacob goes back to college, we're gonna do a Saturday, I think early afternoon, family gaming stream.
Nice.
That'll be a lot of fun. So thanks to PJ Smith for texting him pictures of the last gaming stream we did, and Jacob's like, "Well, you wouldn't wait for me." So I said, "All right, well, when you come home from," because he likes playing that stuff too. So,
well, I mean, if he's got a computer or a console, he can always jump in with you guys on like a Friday night or something like that for college. I mean, there's no reason he can't.
He doesn't have anything that plays games like that. All of his stuff is here. So, plus we want to. He is determined
send
that
him home with a series console. What are you doing? Send him to
Mr. Moneybags, I am.
Sure.
He is convinced. He's convinced that he is the missing link that will allow us to beat Astro Smash. So that is what we are doing on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So
we'll see how that works.
Yeah, he believes he is the key to us beating the game.
Uh-huh.
I know.
They always do.
They always think that. They always think that. And just he doesn't understand. Seth would like to be called the Mullis Family Darts Champion, Seth. So in for a treat. It's gonna be a fun afternoon.
It should be a fun afternoon for you guys, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of what we have going on right now, guys. If you haven't, follow the channels, check us out.
Please
stick around for a while. We'd love to have you as part of the community. We'd love to have more people active in the chat, hanging out, interacting with everybody. But if you're more comfortable just hanging out and lurking, we're okay with that too. So long as you're having a good time and you're enjoying the content,
Iceman,
we are absolutely happy to bring it to you. And Iceman, it is so good to see you.
Iceman, it's been a while.
Tonight. I thought you were busy doing stuff. I really need to make that one bigger. I feel like I can make that one bigger. I need to mess with some of those. Some of those are too small. Darts. He wants you to mess with darts.
Oh, we might do some more darts.
Emphasis, join us.
Join us.
And then back with the key. I love that one. It's so good.
Yes.
So yeah, if you guys haven't, come back. Check out the channel. I do regular uploads. I try to do streams when Mike is not channeling an evil android psychopathic clown.
Join us.
So bizarre. You know, I feel like my pitch is getting killed by you and that weird face. I'm just saying. It's not helping the cause. I'm just saying. You're making people go back to YouTube. They're like, nope, this went too weird.
Rumble. Come to Rumble.
Oh my God, that's just terrifying. Resistance is futile.
Oh my goodness, that's right.
Made it back to Jerusalem. Gonna go have dinner. Catch you guys on the flip side. Andy, thank you for coming by, man. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Shalom Aleichem.
We are Borg.
We are Borg. We are Rumble. We are Borg. That's not creepy at all.
That's not creepy at all. Yeah, it's totally creepy.
Totally creepy. Totally not creepy.
But thank you guys all for coming in. I hate to leave when we have like 26 people watching, but I do need to spend some time with the wife. I need to try to get some sleep tonight. It is almost 12:30 in the morning, Mike's time, so I should let him get out of here as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the new layout. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. I think it's actually worked out pretty well now that we got the kinks worked out in the first 15 minutes or so. I'm probably going to do some more test streams to make sure that I'm more on it before streams go live, just to make sure I have it kind of nailed down by the time we do another one of these or have another group stream. But I've been pretty happy with how this looks. We didn't use the screen view tonight, but for those of you guys who haven't seen it, here's the screen view and how that's going to look. Hopefully we'll be able to bring a few more people in here, and then we can bring the comments down like that down here as well. This section here where you have the scrolling chat may or may not stay. It depends if I need the real estate for something else.
Now, were you hearing any echo tonight?
No. We fixed that. That I double
Beautiful.
checked last night to make sure that
Beautiful.
would happen tonight, and that stuck. So no
Beautiful.
echo. So
All right. So thank
more
you,
cowbell.
More cowbell.
Yep.
We
And
got
if
a
we don't see you
fever.
guys before Thanksgiving, have a great
Have
Thanksgiving.
a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving.
Be safe. Drive carefully. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to overindulge and stuff like that on this holiday. There's going to be a lot of people that are just frustrated because they've been driving long periods of time and they're going to make stupid mistakes. So be careful on the roads, guys. We want to see you guys come back and visit us. We want to see you come back to your families and your homes safe and sound and have a great, safe holiday, okay? So be safe.
Pick up
Later,
a controller
guys.
and get some gaming in.
Oh,
Play
there
on
we
gamers.
go. I'm overindulging,
overindulging in work.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming by, though.